In today's episode, once again, we're speaking to the amazing Dr. Liz Jenkins. Dr. Liz is a licensed marriage and family therapist and a certified relationship coach with over 35 plus years of experience and 75,000 hours working with single people and couples and helping them to reignite relationships so they can prevent divorces, infidelity, and lifelong dissatisfaction and navigate huge life transitions. And today we're talking to Dr. Liz to see how to retain chemistry in a long-term relationship. Let's find out and wonder, and also find out why this is so, how relationships are so important in your business, and why relationships are a cornerstone for a successful career. Let's find out. Money Mindset with Gull Kahn podcast will help you to break free from your limiting beliefs, reverse your money shame, and blast through your money blocks so that you can live a life of unlimited abundance. In this podcast, we will talk about energy tools and mindset strategies that will help you to understand and change your relationship with money, whether you're in a job, profession, or working on your passion. Change your relationship with money to change your life. I'm your host, Gull Kahn. Let's get started. Welcome. This is Gull Kahn, your money mindset expert. And once again, we have the amazing, we have the fabulous, we have the courageous as well, because she deals with so many relationships. Dr. Liz, welcome, Dr. Liz.
Hey, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. Looking forward to chatting.
Thank you so much for coming back. We had such an interesting conversation on Friday feature. We had to have you back on Money Talkies. So Dr. Liz, everyone's heard your intro. They know how fabulous you are. Please, in your own words, tell everybody what it is that you do.
I am a connection coach. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I have pivoted over to the world of couples and keeping folks connected instead of disconnected. I don't want anyone to have one more dissatisfying, distracted relationship or have to find themselves living a life that just doesn't serve them. Who wants to go through life and like, I want you to go like, yeah, I'm here. And I'm made some good choices and I'm proud of myself. I'm happy with my relationship.
Awesome. I think relationships are really, really important. And being a single person, I can still say this, as much as, you have your autonomy and your freedom in when you're single, the best, it's being single on this planet is just such a lonely place. You definitely need to be in a relationship to actually really experience the full extent of it. And I know people who are single always say, no, I'm okay with being single. But I think there's nothing wrong with being single. I enjoy being single. But I do think in a relationship, you get to enjoy the life a bit better. Now, we're talking about specifically today, long-term relationships, how to retain chemistry in a long-term relationship. So the very first question I want to ask you, Dr. Liz, is it possible to retain and keep passion and chemistry in a long-term relationship once you've been married for 10, 20, 30 years? Is it still possible?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, me personally, I'm living proof of it. We've been together 37 years, married 35 years. And so there is chemistry. There is that passion. There is the friendship. And like all relationships, all parts of life, there's an ebb and a flow. There's the highs, there's the lows. We kind of call it seasons where really things are clicking. Life is clicking, things are falling into place. And there's other times where it's just like, everything's an effort.
Yeah. I mean, the reason why I asked this question, we'll go into the strategies and techniques bit in a bit. But the reason why I ask is because if you think about media that's shown us around us, everything from Netflix to movies and social media and everything else, it all points us to all the other external temptations and how people get bored of the partners after a few years, and the 7-year itch and the 14-year itch has been in the marriages where people want to explore other people or look for something else outside the marriage. And even some of my married friends or cousins, they're like, oh, it's been married for 20 years. It's not a big thing anymore. It's not something we think about anymore. It's not like sex is important anymore. And I I'm always astonished at that. Why wouldn't they be important? Or is it the fact that, once you've been with someone for 10, 20 years, there's nothing exciting left? So what do tell me, what's your opinion about this?
It is. It's funny, like you talk about the 7-year itch, the 14-year itch, and things. Media does play and normalize, I would say, wrong information oftentimes. Okay. They normalize that when you have the same person that you wake up every morning, that you're gonna want something different. You're going to need something different. In fact, if you aren't flirting or checking out other people, there's something wrong with you. So I think for my smart couples, I stay off social comparison, stay off of, Facebook, where you see all these people posting. Oftentimes unhappy people or people that are trying to convince themselves that life is great are posting and showing these pictures and stuff. And you're only seeing that little snippet of that smiley face, that maybe there's other things that are going on for a person below that. My connected couples, I think, having a mindset, one, we choose wisely, we choose well from the beginning. But when we look at some couples that really during, say, like, through World War I, World War II, many couples are coming together, meeting, and then they were married and they stayed married 50, 60 years. We still see some of these couples showing up. And there's something about the mindset, there's something about the energy that couples that are successful and long-term have, that I see it in couples that are starting to crumble. There's friendship. When people are good friends, and they treat each other well, manners and respect, that they know preferences, that they still stay curious. That's one of the big things when you talk about, I've known this person for 20 years. Sex is going to be the same way. I know what they're going to want when we go to the restaurant. I know this type of thing. So how do you interject curiosity back in there? That was the stuff that was part of the early years, right? When we were waiting with and asking questions and going on adventures. There was fun and there was novelty and there was curiosity. And so we want to interject that back into, or keep it interjected into your relationship, whether you're at the 1-year mark or the 10th year mark or the 50th year mark.
I guess that's important, to keep yourself curious. But how do we remain loyal to this one person when we see all around us, divorces? I mean, divorces are on the rise. And there are some, and, I'm me being one of them, there are people who are just wrong. So, both my partners were just wrong. They were very, very abusive. Yes. My second one, I think he's just medically ill, honestly, no joke. I think he needs to get some psychological help. He's a pathological liar, a narcissist. But even even my first husband, he was a physical abuser. So he was a wife beater. So again, he needs some help. But these are extreme examples, and I've just been very unlucky. But generally as well, I've seen people just, the husband has his life, the wife has her life, and they just coexist, and there's no longer marriage there. How do you stop things from coming there? Because the media is showing that anybody who has been married for over, a certain part of time, they show that the fact that they're very happy, but they're not really happy. And they, even the examples, and I'm saying this because even when we look at examples of, I'm going to go to Bollywood because I'm a Bollywood person. I don't know if you've heard of Shah Rukh. He's a big Bollywood star. Him and his wife, they show a very close relationship, but people say, nah, this is just a fake. They're not really happy together. How do you counteract that? I don't know. I don't know what the couple is like. I haven't met them. I've not known them personally. But people's responses, that's just a charade and they're not really happy and they're both miserable with each other. How do they know? There's no evidence for it.
Right. And what does it matter? Okay. How does that impact you? Okay. Sometimes we just want to know. Like, okay, they're just putting in the charade. And
I think it's to justify that no one's really happy in the marriage. That's the point I was trying to make. This is the impression that I get. And I'm told how lucky I am, the fact that I have my own autonomy and I'm single and I don't have to worry about a husband. And I find that interesting because in one aspect it's true. But the second aspect is also like, no one's really happy. Everyone's really miserable. Like, really?
I know. Well, and sometimes, yeah, like I said, we want to justify that and say where we're at, and like it's okay that I can be miserable, or we're feel like we're living parallel lives type of thing.
Mm.
But the other thing is like, all right, let's just stop looking at other people. Let's go back to
Mm.
you. Are you happy? Are you feeling connected with your partner? Do
Mm.
they feel like it? When was the last time you felt connected, or you felt excited to see them come through the door, and those type of things? Because as you mentioned, there are some outliers, like as far as like relationships where they're dangerous and they're really not a good place for you or for children to be in.
Yeah.
But for the majority of life is that relationships have the highs and the lows, and there are going to be those peak pivotal moments in couples, but there's also got to be room for normal everyday life to happen. And some of that people mistake stability for being stale. Like we come home every day, we see each other, we have food, we sit down and have a nice dinner together, and like, oh, well, we're stale. So is that stale, or is that stability? And that's part of the ritual of connection that both of you have. Maybe there's some old history stuff that people were raised in families that were more volatile. And so an absence of volatility has them wondering, what are we doing right? When are we doing wrong? So when I'm working with couples, we really go back to some of the earlier years. What was fun? What was having you connected? Are you practicing self-care for yourself? How are you showing up as a priority? How are they showing up as a priority in your day? Because it's pretty hard to, walk away from someone who's kind and greets you and says, "Hey, how you doing? And I was thinking about you today. And, here, let me get you something to drink." Or when it's really hard when someone is showing up 100% as themselves and connecting with you, to say, he's a nice person, but this isn't working. So yeah, I guess to go back to connecting, it's staying curious. It is still opening yourself up. Being in a long-term relationship does give you some stability to take more risks for yourself personally, professionally. And so whether you're in that relationship or you're single, you can still infuse energy and newness into yourself, which then brings it to the relationship as well.
I think that's really key, isn't it? Stability. I think before we go on to the tips, I think you want to reiterate this. We mentioned this in Friday Feature, that having a stable relationship with a spouse or a long-term partner is going to be one of the most important factors to determine your success. Because if you have stability at home, then you're able to focus on your external environment and take risks and do the work. And at times you're going to have doubt, and if you have a partner who's fueling into the doubts, then it's going to be chaos. Where if you have a partner who's actually giving you, the support that you need in your lowest moments, you're going to have the courage to go out and take the risks and go out and attain all those aspirations and even aspire higher. I mean, you may want to aim for the rooftops, and your partner can say, "No, you can reach for the stars," and you may actually go for it. So your partner is the biggest factor. So let's come back to this point then. What's the best way to retain chemistry? What are your biggest tips to retain chemistry and passion between married couples or long-term partners?
Yeah. Oh, well, it's great. I like that. There's a lot of things that we can do. And I tell, when I'm working with couples, one of the biggest things is that let's go back to the early years. What did you guys do together that was fun, exciting? How did you find each other? How did you connect? What made you feel like this was the right place, the right person for me? Because that is going to give you the clues that then we look at what today is going on. Like I had one couple that came to me, super, super sweet, been together 20 years or so. And they were like, we talked about stale and like, we're just like, and so we started talking about, well, what were they doing for fun? All right. They confused being married with that you couldn't have fun and being, adults and stuff. And so they had stopped doing that. And I said, well, we met, and we both enjoyed music. So a lot of our early courting was going to concerts in the park, or we'd go down to downtown and we'd have a drink, or we'd have dinner and we'd dance and things like that. I said, okay, great. So what music do you play in your house? And they got like crickets. None. They had stopped playing music. So they had stepped away from the early things, and it was silent. They just would come home, they'd have a conversation, they'd cook dinner, they'd watch TV. And I said, well, let's put some music on. You guys get some playlists going. And so they started playing music, come in the morning. They said, in less than a week, we started bebopping around the kitchen. We're happy. We're kind of singing. The other one might be doing a little jiggy jig, and they'll just pick them into a swing in a little dance routine. So they quickly interjected some fun and some play. So successful couples, you gotta play. You gotta have fun. You need to remember your manners. I get a lot of pushback on this one as well. When people said, manners? I said, yeah, like they take the trash out. I say, hey, thanks for taking the trash out. I said, why should I tell them thank you? That's their job. Because if it was a friend or a stranger that came into your house and took the trash out of the trash can, you would have thanked them, right? So wouldn't you want to take your VIP, your very important partner, and thank them as well? And so then we stop feeling like being taken for granted, right? We're being shown appreciation with the manners. We're being continually reminded that they know our preferences and that they're interested. So we want to put those back into the relationship fund. So fun, curiosity, manners, shows us respect, shows us appreciation. Those front loading help with the emotion and the mindset. And if I'm feeling loved, respected, it's fun, I'm happy about seeing my partner, that's where more the intimacy, the passion, the romance starts to rev, and outside the bedroom to then go into the bedroom.
I hope you are enjoying today's episode. If you want to learn more about my mindset strategies and energy tools to help you change your money mindset, then please register for my Abundance Mindset Makeover Workshop by visiting www.abundancemindsetmakeover.com. See you inside the workshop. So is it true that you can retain a highly passionate relationship and be intimate more than twice a week, and actually you have it more regular, once a day, or I think when parts first get together, maybe it's 2 or 3 times a day, and then it ends up being about twice a week. Can you get back into that old passion when you are, you can't keep your hands off each other? Is it possible to retain that kind of intimacy?
Yes, it is. Sometimes what I see is the couples that as they've aged into a life transition where the kids are adulting and going off, or the kids or things, I see that can be an uptick in that with the retirement. I think you want to be looking at where are you guys in each of the life stages. Are you just finished with kids, or kids are still interrupting, or your sleep, or the kids are on their own, but you're deep in a career trend? Because those mental, the physical drain of real life, the mental load of where you're at, maybe everything's great, but now you're worried about an ailing parent. Those things are going to also come back and impact you. But yes, if you're in there, you're trucking along, saying, hey, we have more free time, we have more privacy. Yes, couples can reclaim that and regain that. It is a very individualized passion, and I want to say libido is very individualized. So there's all these stats, and so some folks come pre-wired that they want more, or they have a higher libido or more frequent intimacy, and then others. So if you were once a week is kind of good enough for me, or twice a week was good enough to me, and you're now in a different age stage, it may be hard to keep up with the stats of saying, 2 or 3 times a day type of thing, because we have free time. But you can reclaim it. And I want to say intimacy comes in so many different forms. And so when some people say, we're going to have sex and it's got to be this way, this way, this way, this way, some people aren't having sex the same way you are having sex. Some people aren't having intercourse. Some people are having other types of intimate interactions. And so I would say, don't read all the stats and try to line up your relationship with it. What you want to do is not have it feel forced. What you want to have it wants to flow. And if you walk away feeling like I want to do better or I can do better, that's great. And what's better place than with someone that you trust, that's been around you through all the life changes, the body changes and stuff, and say, let's try some new things. There's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of things to explore and try as you go through.
How do we instill body positivity? I think there's been a big awareness of body shaming that happens, and I think men do it either consciously or subconsciously at times to the females, and with the stretch marks, or with the weight gain from over the years, or through childbearing, because of childbearing reasons, or just because of the age as you get older. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of body shaming, and it's just as a casual joke. How does that impact intimacy and a close relationship? Because I would have thought that would, in my case, I think that was horrible, because I had an extreme example. In my mid-30s, I was led to believe I was old and ugly and fat, and nobody could possibly be attracted to me because I'm so hideous. And I actually believe those lies. Keep in mind the
they go to the core.
So men could be doing it, not even realizing they're doing it. It's just a joke. And I'm going to give an example here. It's a different example for a relationship. So my son, who's now 12, who is the most gorgeous, handsome boy on the planet for me anyway. Mm-hmm. He is he's very good looking. And I've always told him how, my God, you're so handsome, my handsome boy. And in my brain, I thought I was saying that. My son, I just found out, he's over COVID, he developed a bit of a podgy belly and he never went. And he's still trying to work hard to get over it. He's very conscious, not fat, but he's just got a bit of a podgy belly. He's conscious. Sure. And he became very sensitive about it, I just mentioned to that his friends lost weight, maybe we should go to, and he just got very touchy and he got very upset, and I couldn't figure out why. Mm-hmm. Now, bear in mind, I'm supposed to be the supportive parent and everything, and it's my daughter. She goes, "Mom, you're teasing him too much." I'm like, "Huh? When am I teasing him?" She goes, "Yeah, you put the idea into her head." I'm like, "Huh? I did it?" And it first time in my life it occurred to me that people can sometimes do it not even knowing they've done it. Because I thought, I'm like, I say a gazillion times a day, you're so handsome, and I love you. And maybe once or twice I've said you're chubby, but you heard the chubby part and you forgot the handsome part, right? So it's quite possible that, and probably because he's preteen, so he's more prone to all the negativity. Hypersensitive. It's possible that as women, we are insecure about ourselves, and then when our partner says you're beautiful, and then once says you're putting on weight, we just listen to that and we hold on to that. So I'm giving the men some leeway here. That's my own example.
You're getting cut some slack here, right? Okay, for unintentional insult there.
So how do we counteract that? As so how do couples become? Because I think maybe the wives are doing it to the husbands as well, not realizing they're doing it. So it could be both ways actually. Mm-hmm. How do couples become aware and deal with that? And then how do they reassure their partner that they are still gorgeous and beautiful and attractive?
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna say, welcome to the world of the human brain. Because what do we pay attention to? The one accidental, not intended to say that, or maybe we did. Maybe we were mad with it. Your belly's getting so heavy, kind of thing. Like that. Maybe it was that one moment. Why is it we hang on to the negative, that one thing, and not the other? I think that goes back to our survival instincts, right? We pay attention to danger or something like that because that was going to keep us away from being eaten or killed or something like that. But how do we do that? Well, one, again, it goes back to us being more intentional or self-aware and checking in with each other. And so maybe not, let's just say in a moment, and we're all dressed up, and your husband says something. Well, we'll just say the wife says something to the husband. We'll just flip it around. I'll do an insult like, "Wow, you're getting a lot of gray in your hair. You look so handsome." And then all of a sudden, now the evening's kind of crushed, or they're a little sullen type of thing. How do we pay attention to their reaction if we're not seeing the compliment? If I'm receiving the end of the pudgy or gray hair, how did that make me feel? And so being more in tune with it, like if I'm hurt, then in a time or place, we want to be able to go back and say, I don't know if you meant it, not criticizing, but we're doing it more of a complaint. Don't know if you realize it, but when you told me I was getting a lot of gray hair, I felt, unsexy, or it hurt me, or I was kind of embarrassed in the dress after you told me, like, wow, that's a little tight on you these days. And like all of a sudden, all I could pay attention to was the way the pants fit around my stomach. And so we want to help our partners understand the impact from our perception. They didn't perhaps mean to do that. They thought maybe it was a sideways comment. Like I said, maybe it was a little joke, so that we can clean that up. And then we'll be able to say, get the reassurance, or we'll say, that's not funny. Or was that really a passive aggressive joke, which was my indirect comment on that you've gained weight and I don't like it on you, or you've gotten, you're not showing up the way I want to be. So I think one is paying attention to how the comments made us feel, finding gentle ways about how their action or comment had you feel, because your feelings are feelings. That's how you feel. They're not facts. It's not intentional. And how can we going forward? Do they need to apologize, or do a redo, like with your son? If you could, in that moment, like you'd be going back and redo instead of saying you got pudgy. It's like, maybe you would reframe it, say it a different way. Like, hey, if I could do a redo, sweetie, what I would just say is, that we can do some things if you're happy or we're not happy, or I'm just saying that maybe we need to change that shirt, or what. Well, you could reflip the comment, or not even say that he's looking pudgy. Maybe the pudgy is not a right word. Maybe we want to be flipping it around and saying, like, now that COVID's over, I think it's time for all of us to get back into the gym and really start taking care of ourselves, and let the natural course of going to the gym or cutting out, I don't know, chips, bread, pizza, whatever it might be, so I think healthy relationships, whether it's friendships or whether it's parenting, or with couples, is that we have the ability to take something back and say, hey, if I could do it over again, this is how I would have said, or I would have not said that. I would have complimented you. Wonderful. Or I would have appreciated the amount of strain being pregnant and going through this, or going through menopause, or whatever it might be, had on your body. So those are some of the things that I would think are important. The other part is if you're feeling like the body shaming and the body, I want to say, disconnect, like that's not how I see my body, but this is how it's showing up when I look in the mirror. There's all sorts of ways that that you can. If you're being intimate or dressing differently, is like go to one of the stores and get a shopper that kind of helps you pick clothes out to give you different. Get a good friend, or go with your spouse or partners and say, hey, let's just try on some stuff. This is really hard for me. I don't feel good, because we get in these ruts about how we dress. In the bedroom, you can change up the lighting. You can have sexy or fresh clothes, your fresh pajamas that are more forgiving, or a little bit more coverage, so that you can feel good about your body at whatever stage it is in. It doesn't have to look like something on social media, or maybe you can be you, and that's part of this enjoying who you are and having your spouse appreciate you as well.
I think that's, on that note, we'll wrap this up. I think this is important to know that you do need to take responsibility for the comments that you make, but you need to have an open relationship with your partner to be able to discuss if something's hurt you, to be able to say it. I'm really glad that, when I pushed it further, my son opened up and my daughter opened up as to what I had done. I was completely oblivious to it, but at least I was able to rectify the situation. Same thing with any relationship. You need to have the confidence to be open and honest about what how you're feeling, and then find ways to counteract this. And you maybe the partner has said something, but you are just, consciously, because of the social media, you see all these perfect 60-year-olds and 80-year-olds, and you're like, oh my God, they look so fabulous. Honestly, some of these women are, we are 20 years my senior and they can give me a run for my money. But it's so that's, and so, I don't know how much of that's true, how much of that filters, and how much of that is just, social media filters, I think, most of the time. But anyway, you can feel insecure about yourself at any age, as my teenage daughter keeps reminding me. So therefore it's in a relationship, it's your responsibility to make sure that you have an open conversation, and not let that be a factor to diminish your intimacy. Well, on that note, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for being such an amazing and interesting guest with us, Dr. Liz. Dr. Liz, tell us, where can we connect with you? How can you find you on the internet?
Well, my website is drlizjenkins.com, or drop in on Facebook. It's Dr. Liz Jenkins, and Instagram is dr_Liz_Jenkins. And I'm always out there doing lives and posts and training. So I'd love to have you pop in there, comment, say hi, connect up. And if people want to chat with me, I have a complimentary connection call where they can just hop on and we can talk about what's going on in their life. And if there's something that I can offer to give them some suggestions or advice, I'm here.
Wonderful. So if you're listening to us on the podcast, then all the links that Dr. Liz has just mentioned will be in the show notes. And if you're watching us on YouTube, then down below in the description section, once again, we have all the links for Dr. Liz as well. Thank you so much, Dr. Liz, for being such an amazing guest. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much.
Take care.
And thank you for listening to me and Dr. Liz today on Wednesday's Money Talkies. I will be back with another guest, finding out how you and I can build a better business. And today has been a very special one, because remember, guys, unless your personal life is in order, your professional life will not be as successful as it could be. If your home life is not happy, then your professional life is going to take a big toll. So bear in mind. So that's why I think today's discussion is even more important, and it will have a greater impact on your success than you realize. Well, until the next time we meet, this is Gull Kahn signing off. Take care and bye for now. If you want to learn more about my energy tools and mindset strategies, then please visit my website www.gullkahn.com. And if you want to take part in our 5-day abundance mindset makeover workshop, where I deep dive into energy tools for abundance, then please go to www.abundancemindsetmakeover.com and register. I look forward to being your mentor in the next workshop. And if you want to learn about the spiritual laws of money, then go and get my book, Laws of Money, from www.lawsofmoney.com. Until the next time we meet, this is Gull Kahn signing off. Take care and bye for now.